AI second brain, build your second brain, build your personal assistant, Obsidian, Notion, productivity hacking. It doesn't work by itself. It's not what is going to change your life. You do. When AI came out, I immediately built the second brain for AI era. Expecting doing these systems by yourself without any supervision, it's almost impossible to succeed. My main issue is that these systems, they become a sandbox for you to play around and masturbate in your mind without any fucking progress whatsoever. The reality, dude, is that activity is not progress. It is very easy to climb the wrong mountain. The definition of a good note, it's a piece of information that your future self will have a big likelihood to recall that information. It means that you need the definition of you in the future, some kind of vision. These systems don't work if you don't have nothing to do in your life. There is no eviction policy. If something harmful gets into that second brain and you start to talk and iterate through that, and then you analyze your childhood and then you trace back those, it will fuck you up because you're constantly thinking about your problems. And you know what? Sometimes, fuck them. Fuck your problems. Just move forward. I'm not saying that there is nothing to learn, but sometimes things happen in your adulthood. It's a trauma, but trying to make the links of where it comes from to theorize that it's itself a psychological issue. The best that you can do is keep moving forward. Do more. All these productivity gurus have one issue: is do more, save more. None of them talk about defining the metric that is enough for you to have return. In business, you have LTV CAC ratio, but what is the LTV CAC for productivity as a knowledge worker? There is no upper bound, and the lower bound is always increasing to the roof without stopping. The truth that I found out with all these productivity systems is that they lack one important context, is that building a vision is not the same than setting a goal, it's not the same than creating content, it's not the same than doing the work. And in case of productivity, there is something very insidious, is that all these people that teach you about productivity, they're not coach, they're content creators, and they just found a topic that they like to talk about. So the way that they go about the world creating the frameworks for productivity is to take content, create a new soup, and create new content. Because before AI, it was difficult to just span new ideas. But you don't use the basics of Tiago Forte to manage work or build a vision or setting a goal. Now, there is something very interesting that I learned as a software engineer, is that this problematic scale to an incredible complexity when you start to collaborate as a team. Building a vision as a team, complicated. Creating content as a team, insanely complicated, and so on. But in software, we have the same issue. Each code base that is on each branch of each developer is a different reality, a different portal, a parallel universe that no one knows exactly the version of reality that it is, but at one point, all of that has to go to production and be merged together. At the end of the day, the code base is the central contribution second brain, and our ideas and perception of that thing, all of that needs to get tuned in so that the metrics around the repo are stable enough. Huge parallel here, but that's DevOps, CI/CD, continuous integration, deployment. They have the same issue. And that's the problem with building these second brains. You are building a reality of yourself that can be so much out of tune that it can start to hurt you passively. I've built whatever you can imagine with all the tech that you can imagine, vector database, my own mind and everything. At the end of the day, yes, it's hard to do it a lot by yourself and you do need some system. But if you're truly confident in your skills and the friendships that are around you and your environment, you don't need constantly to build a second brain. The fact that you need and you have an itch to build another brain to always watch you is itself the root cause of something bigger. And look, I've done this. This is my room right now. So I'm a freak. I'm weird. I've been doing this for 5 years, tracking every fucking single day. I even built AI agents that can track this with spreadsheet, databases, vectors, calendars. I'll come back to the system because actually it's the version that allows me to have less operational work around my second brain. It is useful and it allows me to disconnect and focus in the real world. And I even had my great 90 days template on Notion. I think at one point that second brain hurt me. I was too focused, way too in the zone, and it led me to take some antidepressant. And at the same time, it helped me to get out of it because I was able to make a plan and stick to it. By the way, never fuck again. Those medicine are the fucking worst. Now, I do have a riddle for you. Let's say you want to win a boxing match, okay, a competition. Do you think that if you count the number of punches you do at the gym training, let's say 20,000, you can find a correlation with winning your boxing competition? I like this example because usually people get it right. If you know that counting the number of punches in the gym will have no correlation to winning the match, you'll be able to do great things. Measuring hard is not measuring right. What actually counts is how many fights, training fights in the right stake before the title you did. How many sessions did you show up? How many sparring rounds did you have? And when you run before the practice, do you hold the pace or is it increasing? And ultimately, what you're trying to measure is the quality of the coach as well. Are you training the right things? Have you analyzed your competitor? My problem with second brain is, and by the way, any of these fucking gurus, they will never give you metrics or define it for your context and the problem and the destination that you want to get. A guy that wants to travel the world on a motorbike, which is a fucking massive goal, has different issues that someone who's trying to do a business. These second brains tutorials, none of them tell me what should get in or get out. There is no eviction of what could hurt you. None of them tell you what's actually enough to get to your goal. That's up to you. If you go full AI, don't expect to offload that decision to a machine. You cannot hold accountable a machine. The only thing that you can hold accountable is yourself. And what ultimately you're trying to measure is how much you fucked up in terms of lies to yourself. And understand if the lie was from the goal, was it too much? Was it the wrong direction? Or can you keep up? Usually, if you know where you're going, the plan is not the problem. It's the execution and the belief around it, because as soon as it gets hard, the default is to trust your beliefs. And that's what you need to rewire. If you go into a boxing match and you have one doubt about your opponent that you cannot fight, you will lose the match. It's about confidence. It's about the posture you have. Mistaking motion for progress kill many of my friends. And that's true also for dirt biking when I'm like riding with people. Being able to ride fast doesn't mean that you're making progress in your skills of motorbike. And it actually kills some of my friends. In my journey, there was really two phases. One, learning to have a goal. For that, I really had to build a vision. And that was complicated to iterate on it because I didn't know what I wanted. The second step is I understood what was going on, but I would stop. Like something would stop me. Once I got confident enough, once I got good enough at what I was doing, a pull in me without any logical explanation or thought that will tell me that I'm an asshole or something will stop me to get from the goal. This is the part that gets fucking crazy. What allows you to get there is to do as minimum as possible of what you know what you have to do, and then just build your life so that nothing can derail your plan. It's about subtraction, and most of this system of productivity is about addition. At the end of the day, it comes down to really trust your skills and your ability to perform the task. Because if you're the Michael Jordan of whatever task you're going to do, it sounds irrelevant to you. The stake and the pressure and the story that you build in your mind is at the beginning your friend to complete that task, but then the thing that tortures you. As soon as you have a goal, you become your own enemy because you're not the person right now to reach that goal. It's almost as if sometimes it's easier to not have a goal and just trust your instinct to go to one direction. That works for certain people, but not for everybody. I'm an ex-addict. You give me no goal, I will be at a bar. And yes, my issue is that I don't trust my defaults and I'm working on that. The only knowledge you actually need, is it worth it to start doing that? But then to do the thing, the hard truth is that doing was never a knowledge problem. Finding the knowledge to do the thing and how to do it is the paralysis that kills actually most of my engineer friends. You don't need to know everything to start learning by doing. Though after doing these methods for a long time, there is something that I've noticed that I wanted to share with you. It is hard to aim at something. It requires courage, true. It requires you to do more, true. Sometimes you cannot. Sometimes you're overloaded. Sometimes you're emotional. What I found that pays more than anything else is when those moments shows up, it's better to do nothing and to build capacity rather to do actions that don't set you for the best the next day. It makes me think a lot about the army and the reason why they ask to build your bed and have perfect uniform. It might sound stupid, but these trainings, they're made to overwhelm you. No one goes there with a tie and a suit. They want you to do that because they want to see with massive bullshit around you if you can follow the defaults. That's what they're testing. Amongst many things. I haven't never done the army, but that's what I read from some podcasts. And I think it's the same here, is that I've learned to adapt my defaults over the long term. And that has built a lot of capacity to set myself into 1% better for tomorrow. Tomorrow I might not have the breakthrough, but at least I'm not going negative in terms of energies or down. What switched me off from reality and disconnect me, it's actually the computers. What is the actual important stuff that you need to ask yourself if you're going to this second brain journey is not what you really expect and not what is really taught by gurus, at least the mainstream ones. One, you need to understand the goals that actually match your context, your actual context. And they don't have that. So they cannot be there giving you advice. They don't know what's happening in your life. If you're a 3-year-old kid who wants a yeah, it's not going to happen. You might need to learn to walk and talk first. I do think it's important to do some self-reflection and to have some paper that sometimes you write down stuff and there is a process to go through it, at least every 90 days. And you know what? I learned a lot. In some instances, I would write every morning a sentence of why I'm grateful about something. And I learned quickly that one of the problems of my brain is I don't have the vocabulary to speak about things positively. And that's something that I worked on. And yeah, if you don't have the vocabulary to be positive, how are you going to be positive with yourself? I don't think stupid numb volume into one direction is going to help you to anything in life. Brute force does not. Understanding why you do stuff, having authenticity with yourself, and understanding your values. Value is literally the conditions where you're ready to lose money to stand for yourself. And understanding those, understanding your direction, understanding what's you, not you, and what can get fucked is what builds your character and makes you different. At the start of this race or whatever journey you are, it is not obvious. And understanding that is 90% of the job. Bottom line, whatever you're doing, do it long enough so you can actually have a response from reality in a frame that doesn't burn you out, but with a floor that at least could give you enough information at the end to say if it was good or bad to do.